This is Weather or Not.
And welcome into this Thursday episode of Weather or Not as we wave goodbye to Erin heading off into the North Atlantic.
And heading off pretty quick. Latest look about 18 miles per hour and continues to track that way. Good news for us. One more day, really, of currents and waves, and then we'll kind of get back to normal. But what a view Erin provided here in our area.
Yeah, it certainly was from an amazing satellite perspective, of course. The big waves also making the headlines, and of course the Outer Banks, as expected, taking the worst of Erin, even though it was just a side swipe. Look at those waves just crashing over and through the dunes there along the Outer Banks of North Carolina. Yeah, some views here from Buxton over towards Avon, the fishing pier there, all the way down into what's called the Crystal Coast there, Atlantic Beach, North Carolina. Saw some pictures this morning of the waves almost cresting over the end of the pier there.
Yeah, and you can even tell too if you go on to some of the NCDOT cameras this morning. We saw a lot of those roads kind of just flooded. Shocker, right, from all the storm surge, and that's obviously going to be the cleanup process. Even some beach erosion they're going to have to rebuild there, and they're used to that in the Outer Banks. Let's also talk about not only us here in South Carolina and North Carolina, but lifeguards all across the country. Even as Erin works now to the northeast, going to have to prep for rough surf and rip currents even well into Saturday.
Yeah, this is down at Tybee Island, Georgia. They were watching the rough surf, the surfers enjoying it, just having an absolute field day. Yeah, it's, you know, the West Coasters laugh at us because of our little pathetic waves here on the East Coast. But by East Coast standards, most of the coast from Florida all the way to Maine really picking up some impressive surf the past couple of days, including right here in the Grand Strand and all the way up into New England. The impressive surf continuing, and again, all thanks to Erin.
It's funny because, you know, typically in the morning, very calm.
Yeah.
Quiet, sunrise. Even this morning with the breeze, whitecaps still out there in the distance. So really cool for the surfers. Hopefully you got out there if you are a surfer and enjoyed it. All right, let's track Ian. Good news is, like we said, moving fairly quickly now to the northeast.
You know what you just did there?
What did I do?
You did the same thing I do all the time. You called it Ian.
Did I say Ian?
Yeah, but we do it because those names get stuck in our head. Not Ian.
Erin.
Yeah, I think I've done that once or twice with Erin already myself.
Oh.
Yeah, but there goes Erin, pulling away from the Outer Banks of North Carolina, 105 mile per hour winds, and still kind of remarkable just how big it is. Pretty common as hurricanes get further north. Instead of being sort of really compact as you see them deep in the tropics, they begin to really spread out.
Yeah, they're going to start to show more of that low pressure, you know, mid-latitude cyclone, as we like to call it, as it works up to the northeast. And the clouds providing a cool view this morning, and we'll do that throughout the day. Let's take it through future radar because there's going to be two really key components here. First and foremost, Erin's going to work its way off to the northeast. We'll get some fair weather clouds, but this morning, I don't know if you felt it, but that northerly breeze felt so good for August.
Yeah, little hint of some drier air, slightly lower humidity coming down there on the backside of Erin, making for a pretty pleasant Thursday forecast.
Yeah, you really can't beat it. And that's honestly going to continue as we go through the forecast. You'll notice some clouds and all that going to be left out to our west. That's kind of the area that will set up. There's this stalled out front to our south. So as we go into Friday morning, you might notice some partly cloudy skies. You may even see an isolated shower. This is kind of the trend as we head into the weekend. Not going to be completely gloomy and unsettled, but at times you might get a passing shower or two.
Yeah, a shower here or there, nothing too crazy. Notice that forecast. Just keeping an isolated chance in for tomorrow, Saturday into Sunday at best. Those rain chances may be peaking 30%-ish heading into Sunday.
I think if anything right now, Saturday night, Sunday morning would probably be your best time frame too. So not an all-day thing. Temperature-wise, you certainly love it. You love to see that. And let's take it through future radar with that new data as we go through. So notice, like we said, a lot of this overdone. It's one of those lower resolution models, but you get the idea. Best rain chances off to our southwest. A few clouds on Friday, kind of continuing that trend as we go even into Saturday before that slight nudge of some moisture for Sunday, Jamie.
Yeah, we're sort of just on the right side of that front. And by right side, I mean the good side of that front. We kind of get some cooler, drier air. That's going to keep most of that rain down to our south. Although, as Andrew mentioned, maybe Sunday, slightly better chance of some showers as weak little low pressure develops offshore. That could throw a little bit of extra moisture our way as we head through Sunday.
Well, certainly as hurricane season continues, we want to take you into our weather workshop for today. And as we do so, you've probably heard the term storm surge. We mention it a lot, especially even with Erin up in North Carolina. But what exactly is it? How does it work? Meteorologist Matt Bullock standing by in today's weather workshop.
This week, we're going to talk about storm surge, what causes it, what are the impacts, and the history of storm surge in South Carolina. For some folks that don't know what storm surge is, it's an abnormal rise of water generated by the wind. And historically, storm surge is the leading cause of death from tropical systems. And talk about some of the impacts of storm surge. Up to 3 feet, this can erode the beaches, dunes. Up to 6 feet, this can cause moderate damage to piers, nearby homes, especially over into Garden City and Cherry Grove. When we talk about storm surge up to 12 feet, this is when we talk about catastrophic damage. We saw this type of damage with Hugo and Hazel. I'm talking about the top storm surge in South Carolina. The number one is from Hurricane Hugo in Bulls Bay with a storm surge of 20 feet. Here in the North Strand, the highest surge was at 18 feet back in 1954 from Hurricane Hazel. And then for Myrtle Beach, the highest storm surge was 16 feet from the 1893 hurricane. Hugo brought storm surge as high as 15 feet in Georgetown. And again, from Hurricane Ian nearly 3 years ago, brought 7-foot storm surge in Pawleys Island, which also flattened the dunes in the South Strand. So as we get closer to the peak of hurricane season, whenever we get our next tropical system capable of producing dangerous storm surge, our WBF First Alert weather team will always give you the first alert when those tropical systems are coming our way. Matt Bullock, WBF News.
Always a good reminder, too, on that last graphic, just looking at the top six, nothing recent. And that's what we did with Hurricane Week, just kind of reminding you it's possible and eventually it will happen.
It certainly is. And that 20-foot in Bulls Bay from Hugo still holds the record as the highest storm surge for the entire East Coast of the U.S.
Impressive indeed. All right, let's take you, and speaking of East Coast, let's start with our Coast to Coast segment, and let's talk about some temperature extremes. Good to see Peter Sinks isn't on the list. 32 degrees in Old Station, California.
How cool is it that both extremes are from the same
Right?
state? Don't you just love weather? Topeka, California, coming in at 119 degrees. That's down there in the desert part. Probably not too far from Palm Springs, I'm guessing.
Yeah, at this point, I'd rather be much closer than to Old Station.
Oh, same. Absolutely.
As we transition into it. All right, let's take it to our East Coast, or Southeast, I should say. You'll notice across the region, there's the clouds. I think it's partly cloudy, mix of sun and clouds at times. If anything, you might see more clouds Friday evening. And look at all the shower activity down to the southwest across Savannah, Charleston, Macon. Yeah, you're picking up on a couple rumbles of thunder, but overall, just a typical forecast for us as we head into Friday.
Yeah, but you can also see those slightly cooler temperatures, generally low 80s across the Carolinas heading into tomorrow, thanks to that front. Plenty of 90s there across the deep south into Florida. That's pretty typical here for August. Into the northeast we go. You can see the outer fringes of Erin there kind of brushing by Cape Cod and Nantucket early in the day on Friday, and then away it goes, and kind of like we're seeing today, just very quiet weather. You typically get a lot of that with on the backside of a big storm like Erin. Not a lot going on.
Yeah, a lot of dry air coming in there too, and that's actually going to make it pretty comfortable. 70s, 80s up there, 82 in Scranton, 81 in Albany, and notice, 79 there in Portland, Maine. We'll take you out to the Midwest, and as we do so, you'll look at the next little weather maker going to be sliding its way in. This going to kind of meander its way, stationary at front, but eventually over the weekend, we'll start to bring some showers. You'll notice that low pressure system just north of the Dakotas. Couple showers associated with this, but still not going to be a widespread rainmaker.
Yeah, not too much at all. Temperatures into the 70s, generally the 80s, a little bit hotter down there by Kansas and Nebraska, but even here, nothing too crazy for August. Into the southwest we go. Most of Texas pretty quiet. Some downpours there across coastal Texas. Monsoon still kind of quiet there across New Mexico into Arizona, just a couple of isolated showers and storms.
Yeah, likely going to be seeing that ramp up here over the next couple of weeks. Temperatures, they're warm. 111 in Phoenix, so 114 there. How do you say that?
Lake Havasu.
That's why I didn't say it. 110 in Las Vegas. Let's take you out to the West Coast where it's been a little bit of everything. And right now, just some tranquil weather, some clear skies. We'll call it some fair weather clouds as you go down toward Bakersfield, Fresno. But overall, high pressure kind of dominating up in the northwest with some showers extending all the way up through Utah.
And temperatures pretty comfortable there, although look at Medford, Oregon, Portland.
That's impressive.
Yeah, a little bit of heat there on the far west coast. They can get some big heat every once in a while. Portland making it up to 99 degrees. Salt Lake City also making it into the upper 90s.
Let's take it to our See It, Snap It, Send It, shall we? And man, it's been a lovely stretch of weather, not to mention just some photos coming in. We've had sunsets, sunrises, but how about, I mean, does it get better than waves like this?
Yeah, that's good. Surfside Pier, nice clean waves coming in. Those are the swell coming in from Erin, giving us that nice clean look. Yeah.
It just doesn't look like it should be here, and it's
I love
perfect. Stan, thank you for that photo. Let's take you to our next one. This one coming in from Mark Moore, and as always, you get some tropical skies out there. You get the sun beginning to set, illuminating the cloud cover, and depending on where you were yesterday, I noticed this with satellite imagery. You go a little bit further to the south, you had a little bit more of the thinner clouds.
Yeah.
Up near Mark, a little bit more dense, but still beautiful view.
Yeah, it certainly was. And again, those were the far outer reaches of Erin giving us that nice looking sunset.
All right, if you have a photo you want to send us, be sure to scan this QR code. It will take you to our First Alert weather app. We will see it, snap it, send it. And of course, we'd love to show it here on Weather or Not. What a week I feel like it's been. And it's almost the weekend.
It is almost the weekend. Of course, we're still watching some more action in the tropics, thankfully, probably for at least the next 2 weeks, though. We're sitting pretty here in the Carolinas.
Sounds good. Well, thanks for joining us again on another episode of Weather or Not.